Good evening, guys. I hope we're all sparkly. It's the end of a very busy week. A hard-earned rest this weekend. A long weekend. A long weekend of rest? No. A long weekend of earning your reward. I sound a bit husky. We're going to talk about the difference between normal, average and optimized, because I don't think there's a bigger insult than being called normal or average, although I don't really want to be described as optimized when it comes to my character. But when it comes to my physiology, I want to be normal, not average. Because, as you guys know, we live in a sick society. Testosterone reference ranges are lowering. The lower level of testosterone, not the higher level. Yeah, but there was this one study. Shut up. How do I know? Well, because obviously we screen a lot of guys. And we have a lot of guys under our care on testosterone replacement therapy. Now, that's not to say there's the occasional outlier. There is the occasional outlier. But normal is what we're trying to seek. We're trying to achieve normal physiology so that we can achieve our reward. But reference ranges are lowering because we live in a sick society. We expose ourselves to things we shouldn't expose ourselves to, and we don't live according to our physiology. So what was normal, average a few years ago is not normal and average now, because we are not as healthy as we should be. And if you think about a testosterone reference range, it's based on the current population of sick people. So the lower limit of normal, average is lower, and it reflects a sick society. So when we think about aiming for a testosterone level when you go on TRT, it's not the reference range that you should be looking at. It's looking at your other physiological markers. So, what levels should we be aspiring to achieve on TRT? Now, number one, we should always be measuring levels in a trough. And so it seems a bit paradoxical to compare natural levels with TRT levels when we measure TRT levels in a trough and we measure natural levels in a peak, because we want to see how effective the HPG axis is at creating testosterone overnight when your anabolic processes predominate. But where do you want to be to feel optimized? Most guys feel best with a free testosterone between 0.5 nanomole per litre and 0.85. That's not to say you can't feel good and calm considered with a testosterone of 1 nanomole per litre, but most guys who like to run high don't like to run high for too long. Interestingly enough, I've had numerous conversations with guys who were convinced that they felt great, convinced that they wanted to run high. They did not have a rise in hematocrit. They did not have lipid dysregulation. They did not have high blood pressure as a result of being high, but they felt that dopamine hit. They liked it temporarily. Weird, isn't it? Not weird, really, because normal is normal. And we know that high levels has a negative consequence on both your biological markers and your psychology. As we've said in numerous videos before, testosterone is an anabolic hormone, and anabolic versus catabolic. You need to have contrast in order to establish balance and harmony. If you're on this seesaw effect that we talk about, with your catabolic hormones on one side and your anabolic hormones on the other side, you want to have the ability to achieve contrast and achieve a subjective appreciation of subtle change in physiology that results from external stimuli and internal change that happens during the day. It's all about an appreciation of contrast. So when you run high, disappointingly, you lack contrast. Now you can try and normalize the abnormal, but you will fail eventually. You can try and run really high and feel really great, but as life is all about contrast, that doesn't work. Homeostasis, an incredibly complicated process whereby your body has lots and lots and lots of physiological mechanisms to maintain a steady state despite external changes, and these contrasting processes that occur for a reason. You can't be catabolic all the time. You can't be anabolic all the time. So on testosterone replacement therapy, you are cheating your genetics a little bit by being constantly anabolic. But as it's all about contrast, you don't want to run too high because you want to make sure that you have the ability to perceive things as good, bad. It is incredibly frustrating listening to bozos on the internet promoting high levels, feeling amazing, then having to switch to a different compound to try and feel more amazing. One of the reasons why people feel good with a change in protocol is because that change in your dose leads to an effect, cause and effect. So as you raise your testosterone level, you will see an increase in dopamine. And as you increase your estrogen level, you will see an increase in serotonin. That is short-lived until you reach stability. And then you go, don't feel quite so good. I know what I need to do. I need to up my dose because I want to have that dopamine hit and serotonin hit. And then what happens? You end up on 300 milligrams a week and you cannot see the wood for the trees. You are literally lost in your own mind, desperately seeking pleasure, happiness, satisfaction, but you have the inability because you're a narcissist and you think the whole world revolves around you and you're desperately seeking validation. Perhaps you might start a group, a Facebook group, a YouTube channel. So what limits feeling good? Your body, your physiology. So whilst testosterone levels are dropping because we are unhealthy, not me, the average person, again, don't want to be average, but you want to have a normal physiology. You don't want to be too high. So you don't want to be low normal, but do you want to be high normal? Well, it kind of depends really on a glycoprotein called sex hormone binding globulin. Because if your SHBG is low, you don't need to have a high testosterone to have a good free testosterone. And is it all about free testosterone? No. Because actually, you want a nice, normal stroke high SHBG. it confers a positive health benefit. So you don't want to crash your SHBG to not need much testosterone. You want everything in what? Yeah, you guessed it. Balance. So guys with high SHBG levels, they need a higher testosterone dose to achieve good free testosterone levels. And as SHBG binds more onto DHT than testosterone than estrogen, your clinician has to be careful about this ratio of DHT to testosterone to estrogen and manage it appropriately. Because we're all talking about ratios, we're all talking about balance, we're all talking about harmony. Oh, no, we're not, are we? We want to bang up the dose to feel amazing. You don't. You want to achieve, you want normal physiology to do what? Yeah, you guessed it. Earn your motherfucking reward.